All right, here we go, guys. This video and audio is Act 1, Scene 3. We left off with Hamlet speaking to Horatio, Marcellus, and Bernardo about seeing the ghost of his father and having it described to him. He swears him to secrecy, and he's going to meet them out there tonight. Hopefully see it again. But in the meantime, we've got a couple of characters who have not been introduced formally to us yet. So Laertes and Ophelia are the children, brother and sister of Polonius, who's the advisor to the king, who's probably advisor, royal chancellor to the old king as well. So he was the chancellor for old Hamlet. Now he's the chancellor for Claudius. Okay, so brother and sister talking. Remember, Laertes is about to go back to college, graduate school, or whatever it is. So he's going to be saying goodbye in the process of this somewhere. Here we go.
My necessaries are embarked. Farewell. And sister, as the winds give benefit and convoy is assistant, do not sleep, but let me hear from you.
Do you doubt that?
For Hamlet, and the trifling of his favour, hold it a fashion and a toy in blood, a violet in the youth of primy nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting, the perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more.
No more, but so.
Think.
What did Laertes just kind of indirectly reveal to us while broaching a topic with Ophelia, which sounds like it's going to be pretty awkward? Something about Hamlet and Ophelia, right? Can I read carefully there? This conversation is going to continue about that same subject.
Kit no more. For nature crescent does not grow alone in thews and bulk, but as his temple waxes, the inward service of the mind and soul grows wide withal. Perhaps he loves you now, and now no soil nor courtal doth besmirch the virtue of his will. But you must fear. His greatness weighed, his will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his birth. He may not, as unvalued persons do, carve for himself, for on his choice depends the sanity and health of this whole state. Therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that body whereof he is the head. Then, if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes with all.
Okay, so very uncomfortable situation here. If you were Ophelia and your brother were having this conversation with you about your love life, probably wouldn't be too fun, right? So he seems to be implying that Hamlet isn't going to be sticking around and that he has interests greater and of larger import, like more importance than the relationship with her, which seems, I don't know, a little suspect. Like, does he know that? Is he assuming it? I don't really know. We haven't seen Hamlet and Ophelia together, so we don't really have a direct knowledge of the nature of their relationship.
Then weigh what loss your honour may sustain if with too credent ear you list his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. Now fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep within the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. The chariest maid is prodigal enough if she unmask her beauty to the moon. Virtue itself escapes not calumnious strokes. The canker galls the infants of the spring too oft before their buttons be disclosed, and in the morn and liquid dew of youth contagious blastments are most imminent. Be wary then. Best safety lies in fear. Youth to itself rebels, though none else near.
Man, he talks almost as long as Claudius, doesn't he? Lots of comparisons there and allusions, but what he's really getting down to is way up in Ophelia's business, right? And maybe he cares about her. Maybe he cares about her too much. I don't know. It's almost kind of creepy, right? But he has some misgivings and seems to be trying to steer Ophelia maybe away from Hamlet. So we'll see how well that goes.
Shall the effect of this good lesson keep as watchman to my heart? But, good my brother, do not, as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whilst like a puffed and reckless libertine himself the primrose path of dalliance treads, and recks not his own reed.
That's the way to tell him Ophelia. There's a dilemma, a double standard that's timeless, right? Because she's pointing out to him, you can go and do whatever you want, and you do, right? And your reputation isn't hurt at all, right? Is that kind of hypocritical? But easy for you because you're a guy, right? And for me, I make one little mistake, you know, with my sex life, and my reputation is ruined. And he kind of laughs it off.
Oh, fear me not. I stay too long. Oh, but here my father comes. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave.
Yeah, he's a boy.
Okay, so here's Dad. This is one big happy family. We'll see what Polonius has to say about the subject of their conversation if it comes up.
Oh, aboard, for shame! The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you have stayed for. There. My blessing with thee. And these few precepts in thy memory, see thou correct her. Give thy thoughts no tongue.
Before that, looks like he's talking to Laertes about giving him a little advice for when he goes back off on his own to college.
Nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. The friends thou hast, and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new-hatched, unfledged comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear it that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thine ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit, as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy, rich, not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man, and they in France of the best rank and station are of a most select and generous chief in that. Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell. My blessing season this in thee.
Most humbly do I take my leave, my lord.
The time invites you. Go, your servants tend.
Okay, so Laertes is getting ready to leave. Polonius went on there for a long time, didn't he? That is a lot of advice. Think about what you think of that conversation and how many things he says to him and what that's all supposed to add up to, especially since it ends with what's a pretty famous line, to thine own self be true. I think that might sound familiar to some of us, as does clothes make the man, which is kind of a paraphrase of some other things. And there's a lot of kind of famous lines in there that are all these little pieces of advice. But are we supposed to take them all as wise, you know, or is Polonius just kind of a blowhard? We'll have to keep listening to him. A lot of people that talk a lot. Yeah. Okay, so to Ophelia.
Farewell, Ophelia. And remember well what I have said to you.
'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it.
Oh. I just want to say I find that line highly creepy.
Harold Bloom is here.
Oh no, what happened?
Being a good kissing carrion. Have you a daughter?
Okay, we're gonna have to abandon that scene, and you guys can read the last page and a half of that on your own because it's not worth me starting another one. Oh well.